Welcome to the Peoria Art Guild's first virtual exhibition. We're here today at the Art Guild and we're taking a closer look at our members. This is a member show. All the works are for sale. If you have any interest in them, please get hold of us at peoriaartguild.org, and you can send it directly to Shannon, which is director at peoriaartguild.org. The first piece we're looking at is Steve Wilson's piece. It's a photograph. In the exhibition, we have a variety of media, from photography to printmaking to painting to sculpture, and I think you'll find that we have a various group of artists that are all practicing and making work during this pandemic. This is Crib, and it's a photograph by Steve Wilson. It's really quite a charming thing. Here in the Midwest, we have a strong group of artists who focus on the landscape, and we have another landscape artist that's here that does painting. I think the most interesting thing about it is it seems very sterile and almost like void of any human contact, but if you can look closely, there's one wire that connects the crib, the barn, to some other thing that goes off to the left there. Our next artist is Angeline Tancre, and here are two photographs. Both of them are from her series Healing Hands. We have this wonderful one where the artist has brought the hands off of the matrix, off of the picture plane, and we have the fine detail. And artists as far back as Stieglitz have focused on doing studies of the hand. And this is study 17, and I believe this one is study 14. Here we have a wonderful group, two hands that are interlocking and show both tenderness as well as strength at the same time.
I think these are really cool right now with everything going on with the pandemic, the healing hands.
These are both Patel. Steve Wilson's photography was color. We have one of our printmakers, which is one of the stellar printmakers here in Peoria, Kathy Crawford, who Jeff, my brother, and I have in our collection. This is a reduction woodcut print, and Kathy loves paper, and she loves the look and the feel of the grain of the wood when she's making her artwork piece. The piece of this was homage to Hokusai, I think it is. Sorry about that, Kathy. But this is a really wonderful piece and very good example of what you do with the reduction woodcut when you're first engraving and gouging out the plate. And she also uses the stencils quite often, like this wonderful piece that's floating here that has the wood grain and everything appears to be just floating, but she actually has used a stencil to place that in her print. This is a new series that Lori Luthie's working on. This is Trust Me, You Can Dance. And here we have three little sculptures that are hanging on the wall. And Lori has a wonderful, wonderful passion for the absurd sometimes with her, the way she applies the paint, and she uses it to make these colorful, in this case, pears, but she also has this one that has legs and it's ready to dance and everything. This is just really, it's just charming. It's a relief because it sticks out from the wall, and it's one of the only pieces we have that's paper mache, actually. Here we have Meryl Hickey's piece. Meryl has continued to really expand what one can do with fiber art and using beadwork, and all of her pieces are happy, and they have a lot of very colorful characters. You can see this wonderful face that's sitting here, and she, much like Keith Haring, she can fill the space so quickly with all of her little pieces that she has, and she just has a great sense of design and how she can layer them and place them together, and the colors are always wonderfully bright and engaging. And next to it we have Amy McGovern's McGovern, piece, and this is a chickadee. And much like what Meryl has done in an abstract way, she has taken and done this beadwork that is just incredible to create a little chickadee on a cherry tree limb. And I think this is very small, it's very intimate, and I think sometimes the media dictates what size the work will be, but also how we can get the idea. The line work here with the fine beading is just incredible. It really is. We have a couple of photographs here by Coke Mattingly. This is Street Performer, and this is Walk in the Rain. And I think the wonderful thing about these is that they are so identifiable as far as the person goes. We've all been on the street, we've all seen, especially in the larger cities, we have these people that are quite the character, that are performing and kind of oblivious to the things around them. And we see that. The work is just focused on the musician here. We have entertainment going on, and the people seem to just be walking by. Here, on the other hand, we have a man who's pretty pensive. It's a rainy day. He has this wonderful umbrella in his white suit, and he just seems to be walking off into who knows where, into the unknown, so to speak. Here's another pair of photographs by Scott Spitznagel. We have Hiding in Plain Sight and Tribute. I think the wonderful thing with Hiding in Plain Sight is how sometimes artists use just the simplest design techniques to really draw us in. We have the rectangular frame, we have the rectangular mat, we have the rectangular frame in the image, and it just is almost telescopic that it brings us and draws us in. And in this one, we have a wonderful idea of a woman. It's tribute. It's someone who's singing, probably a tribute concert of some sort. But we have this wonderful gesture, and she's got her hand thrown up in rather a gayish kind of idea. And then we have these wonderful shadows in the background that just kind of emphasizes the motion of the singer. Here we have Sue Marx's piece. It's a photograph, actually. It's called Magnolia Abstract. And you have to, I hope, Shannon, you can get in closely to see the details of it. But again, much like Georgia O'Keeffe, we had Stieglitz with photography. We have O'Keeffe, who taught us that we can look at small details and blow them up and create natural abstraction in that way. So we have that. We also have a piece by Scruffy here that's also by Sue Marx. And here, for the cat lover here, we have this wonderful cat with the cat eyes that are just so incredibly strong and staring at us and kind of focused on the viewer as opposed to the viewer being focused on the cat, I think. Here we have Izzy Bollinger's piece. It's an acrylic on canvas, and this is Amy. Again, a lot of times, and we'll see some other paintings, here we have painting that is pretty graphic, meaning we've taken and kind of made it almost monochromatic. We have black paint and white paint, and we just meld the two, and we get this wonderful image, a silhouette of this woman, a little sultry. We have some detail here is with just a little bit of gray, but it really engages you. Again, she's taken the image all the way to the edge so that we are actually kind of coming in behind her, so to speak, and kind of interrupting her. Here we have Kathleen by Colin Abernathy. This is a colored pencil drawing, one of the few drawings that we have actually this time in the exhibition. And here we have a wonderful design element that we have all of these very circular kind of things that are happening in it. And I think the best part is that he's taken the sunglasses, made them reflective, and we have the person taking the picture of this reflected in the eyes there. And so the eyes, the hands, and the, actually I believe it's a cell phone, actually become the pupils of the eyes. And so it's like she's gazing out right through us, and we can see her because even though she has the glasses on, we can kind of see that penetrating gaze. But this just really, and there's a lot of different colors and patterns, which I think sometimes we fail to think about. I won't say that photography is more flat, but it's all a unified surface, and we don't get all of the different, we have the animal pattern here, we have this wonderful, the hair is these curvilinear lines, just really is a kind of intriguing piece. Here we have a wonderful self-portrait by Virginia Shootman, and this is more of a wash. It's an acrylic painting, and she's chosen just to water down the acrylic and use it like we would an ink wash or something. And it's very realistic, unlike Colin's piece, which was rather stylized. Here we have a very honest image of a human being, in this case herself, and the wonderfully gestural part that makes up her from her turtleneck all the way up to with her hair. And again, she's gazing, but I think her gaze in this case, as opposed to the cat and to Colin's piece, is a little bit more like she's just engaging us in a soft and familiar way, as opposed to the stern kind of gaze that the others have done. We have a couple of paintings here by Brenda Sherman, both of them landscapes. And again, we talked about Steve Wilson's wonderful landscape photograph. Here we have a couple of landscapes, one a seascape and one a little forest area here. And again, these are much more realistic. I think a lot of times in the Midwest in general, the landscape artists are capturing things in a very natural and real way. I don't know for sure if he uses photography as like a textbook or not, but he really comes upon a little pond with the autumn. And this one is called Autumn Love. This is the landscape around the section. It's like we have a wonderful calm view of the birds up there. So it is very and very calm. Like it says, the conversation, it is so engaging. The viewer becomes engaged. We're kind of eavesdropping, if you want to think of it that way, on their conversation. But we have these two people, and they have a lot of personality. We have one lady that's got her head turned back, and the other lady seems very intent on listening to what they're talking about. So I suppose it could be a serious conversation, or it could just be one that's again, a lot, especially at this time of year, I think we're all flower, and also the each petal seems to be just very gentle. Just as included in that. Here we have Jay. Jay Cox. This is Buffalo, and it's inkjet on canvas. And we are truly in the 21st century when we can use computers to help generate our artwork. And here we have a buffalo. Drinking up, and it just is, you really need to see it in person because it's got a lot of energy to it. And as does this splash on canvas, and but here we have a steer, and we have this wonderful, like every woman's nightmare on a windy day where the hair is going across their face. Here we have all this wonderful gesturing. And again, the applying the blush, which is an opaque watercolor. And again, like we'd seen in Sue Mark's cat painting, we have this animal that has one eye looking at us very sternly, and definitely focusing on the viewer who's viewing that. We're going to move into some of our sculptural work now. Here we have Joe Peters. He has two pieces. One is this metal head, and this one is crazy face. Both of these are made out of metal, but there's a different technique to both of them. This is made with sheet metal. Bent and soldered together. And what I love is it looks like an artist who's drawing. Instead of hiding all the initial, sketch that he did, here he's using the soldering, and it's giving us all this wonderful texture that otherwise be a very flat surface. That it's more of the approach of, I'm going to show you the human hand at work while I'm working on this. And we have this wonderful head with this man that's staring out at us too. I don't know if you can see it. And then crazy guys, this is wonderful. We have a part of us here with the top. Here he takes instead of using a fiber effect, where he's cut out sections for this sculpture, he's used rods and he's bent them and warmed them up and soldered them together so that it's more of a linear sculpture where he's used line to express himself. We have here one of another piece of fiber art by Jenny Hockney, and this is Diamonds in the Water. This is actually an infinity scarf, so it's stone and it's just one large oval type of thing that we put together. But you can see the incredible, let me do this, Shannon, I don't know if you can get onto it to see it, but the pattern is just incredible. And I think the blue with the yellow, is bright yellow. That's the idea of diamonds in the water, and that there's some flickering, so to speak, with the element there. This wonderful sculpture is by Kathy Fuller, and it's called Wind Blown. And this is a bronze that was cast from a clay sculpture that she did. I think the wonderful thing is, Rodin said that there should be no front or back to a sculpture, that all aspects of your sculpture, all three dimensions should be good. And I know my brother in particular, when we were installing this, it's wonderful. Here we have a lady with a muff, obviously on a cold day. The wind is blowing, and so we have her scarf kind of whipping around her face there from the wind. Then she took a piece of quartz, and this stabilizes it, but it also almost looks like ice, like she's traveling across snow and ice. But if you look at it from the back, you see just as much. You see this wonderful form that is moving. The curves and the structure of the coat gives you the idea that there is actually a body in there and that there's movement to it. It's just really a fabulous piece. And her hair is also blown. I don't know if you can see the detail, but her hair is blowing across her face, so you can hardly see that there's a human face there.
beautiful.
Here we're going to look at two sculptures by Martin Mitchell. And some artists just like they see things and they think, I can make art out of that. And in this case, we have Dancing on the Day of the Dead. And unfortunately, we were going to have a Day of the Dead exhibition here, but things did not work out. This would have been a fabulous piece for it. We have this wonderful, very lively skeleton that he's has hanging here. He has a butterfly. Irony to it is he has a butterfly in this hand. He's taken found pieces of metal and welded them together to create this. He also has a piece over here. And this piece is Spoon Fish of the Deep. And he's taken the spoons and forks and a piece of driftwood and created this wonderful floating fish that's going through the water. He's even got some of the vegetation from the bottom of a river or someplace like that there. And he's used the forks, obviously, to make the fins. And the spoons create the head of the fish. And I think there's a lot of whimsy in Martin's two pieces. And I think sometimes art doesn't have to be necessarily very serious. Instead, it can be very, very lighthearted and engaging at the same time. The last pieces we're going to look at are by Dan Shootman. And these are some wooden boxes that he's created. They're all for sale. They, I think that particularly when I look at this one, the strong geometry that he's used in here with the rectangles, it's sort of like Mondrian, where we can take a simple shape that we're all very familiar with, and just by continuing to cut and to do the inlay with the wood, it's created just a really charming, wonderful piece of sculpture there. All of these pieces are for sale. Like I said, if you have any interest in any of them, feel free to contact the Art Guild, and we can give you the prices and how we can get the artwork to you from the artist. This is going to be up for at least a month, and we hope that maybe as things change that we'll have actual exhibits in our gallery, but for right now we're going to use our media, and we're going to do virtual exhibitions so that everyone can see what's happening at the Art Guild.
Thank you, John.
Mm-hmm.